Alrighty, check out this hand that we played with Queen 5 of clubs. We're doing a bomb pot as the table is kind of getting short-handed, so we're taking Queen 5, 4 ways to a flop for $100 in the middle. And here's a pro tip for all the players coming up in the game. If you're going to play Queen 5, make sure you flop an absolute monster. As the flop comes Queen 4-6 with 2 clubs, we've got top pair, the flush draw, and the backdoor straight flush draw. It checks all the way to us, and we take a stab at the pot for 60. Big blind is the only non-believer and makes the call, and everyone else gets out of the way. We're going heads up to a turn in position that comes an offsuit deuce. Improves our hand, gives us a gutter along with the rest of our draws. Big blind checks, and we bet 110. Big blind eventually reluctantly lets his cards go. We playfully turn it over to show our absolute monster of a hand, and we scoop this bomb pot. We play another couple bomb pots that don't really go as well before the table eventually breaks and we get moved to the other game.
Want to see me play your favorite hand? Leave it in a comment down below and I'll give it my best shot. While you're there, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on that notification bell for weekly videos. Let's get right into it.
Alrighty, we're going to rewind the tape just a little bit and cover a couple hands we played on the short-handed table before the bomb pots. In this hand, we've got a6 offsuit in the big blind facing 2 limps. We're going 3 ways to a flop sandwiched between 2 players through a flop that comes ace 3-4. We've got top pair, a backdoor straight draw with a marginal kicker. Checks to us, and we decide to bet 15 for value with top pair. The other player folds, and the small blind thinks a little bit before calling. We're going heads up, in position, to a turn, that comes an 8. Checks back to us, and in this situation we bet 35 for value. What we don't like to see is when the small blind check raises to 125. I feel like in the future we're going to have more hands that we can continue with for value, so we decided to let this one go. The small blind must have watched our tutorial from a couple vlogs ago on how to play pocket 8s, as he turns over the snowmen for the vlog. Alrighty, for this next hand, we're going to make sure our ace is suited this time, specifically looking at ace 4 suited on the button. We open it up to 25. We get both the blinds to call, so we're going 3 ways in position to a flop that comes 3-6-9 with 1 spade. This should probably be a pretty consistent c-bet spot, but considering we're up against 2 opponents that don't like folding, we've only got some backdoor draws and 1 over, I decided to check to see what developed. We're going with the same gang into a turn. That comes a pretty good card, all things considered. It's an ace. We've now got top pair. It checks to us, and we feel pretty confident we've got the best hand, so we wager 50. That confidence is completely shattered when the small blind check raises to 175. The other player gets out of the way, and in this situation, when the small blind raises us on a card that's going to be good for our image and our range, are we ever really good? Probably not. We decide to make another conservative fold, and in the comedy of the game, the small blind turns over pocket 9s for the flop set. We've run our top pair into 2 sets already, but we've made conservative disciplined folds. Alrighty, so we're all caught up to speed. We've moved over to the new table, and we're greeted with pocket aces on the button facing an under the gun straddle. It's folded to me. We make it 35. Folds back around to the straddler, and they're nice enough to give us some action, so we're going heads up in position to a flop that comes king 6-4. It's a pretty awesome flop. Hopefully a king will be able to pay off some nicely sized bets. Straddler checks, and in this situation we bet 30 on this pretty dry board. Straddler makes the call pretty quickly, which we love to see, so we're going heads up, just the 2 of us, to a turn in position that comes a 9. In this situation, yeah, I guess we lose to king 9, but I'm not going to be all too worried about it. When the straddler checks, we bet 75 for value, and unfortunately the straddler folds. Feels good to drag in a nice small pot with aces. Alright, so now we're going to talk about a hand that I'm really not proud of how I played well at all, but I still want to include it just to talk about what I could have done better. We've got king jack of diamonds in early position, we make it 20. First off, I don't really like the sizing at all, because king jack doesn't really play that well out of position multi-way, so we really want to try to isolate in this hand. So I think out of position, bigger is going to be better. Somehow we still do get to heads up with the player right next to us, so we're going heads up out of position to a flop that comes to king jack 5. It's an absolute monster. Now normally, I'll take the standard consistent line of c-betting for value, but once in a blue moon, I'll throw in that trappy check. So this time, we decide to check. Our opponent doesn't disappoint and bets 25. Now in this kind of situation, when you're playing the trappy passive line, you're going to have to go for the check raise at some point. On this street, I decide to just call because I want to keep as many of his bluffs in as possible. We decide to just call, so we're going heads up out of position to a 4th card, which comes a 10. We check to our opponent, who doesn't disappoint and bets 50. Now here's what I really don't like about this hand. I think in this situation you have to go for the check raise when you're playing this strong of a hand this passively, as you cannot risk this hand going check check on the river. In this situation, however, at the time, I deemed the 10 a worse card than it really was. I mean, yeah, some kind of straights get there and it does connect the board a little bit more, but we should pretty much have the best hand all the time, and when you have the best hand, you gotta get the money in and go for some value. In this situation, I just called, which I don't like at all, so we're going heads up to the final card, which comes a complete brick. We check, hoping our opponent will bet one more time, and of course they don't. They check and give up. We show our cards, and of course we're good. Our opponent shows us Queen 5 of Hearts for an absolute monster draw, and I really feel stupid for not getting as much money in as possible, as we could have pushed the action a lot harder and stood to win a much bigger pot. Well, I totally just dropped and shattered my mic port, so we're gonna have to do the rest of the video without the mic. Alrighty, for this quick hand, we've got Queen Jack of clubs in middle position facing a button straddle and a limp. In this situation, we make it 40. The straddler makes the call, so we're going heads up out of position to a flop that comes King King Jack with one club. In this situation, it's going to favor our range a lot more, so we down bet to 30 to try to get some value. Unfortunately, straddler lets it go pretty quick, and we scoop a nice little pot. Feels good to have a little bit of chips pushed our way when we're stuck. For the final exciting hand we're going to talk about, we're blessed to find ourselves with the Rockets, the Bullets, the Angels, the Pocket Aces under the gun, and we make it 30. The button comes along, and the small blind books himself a one-way trip to Paintown and 3 bets to 100. The big blind decides to hop on the train, but he's going to need a Groupon for this ride as we've raised our prices and we 4 bet to 300. Button gets out of the way, and we get some amazing footage of the small blind gracefully pushing all of their chips over the line for a 5 bet to 1,000. Big blind folds, and we of course call. It's a cooler, it's a sick one. The small blind turns over pocket kings for the classic pocket aces versus pocket kings cooler. The small blind is a really cool guy and doesn't seem too upset by the situation, and we agree to run 2 full boards.
We're doing 2 full boards.
2 full boards, yeah.
It's a good board for Jack. Oh wow, looks better again. Wow.
We've got 9 cards showing, 1 card to go,
Chop outs.
and he hits a king on the final card to chop the pot.
Oh goodness.
I know it's advantageous when you're really ahead to only run 1 board, but I think it's good for the game, fun for myself, and fun for the vlog to see more cards. Alright, we lost a good number of small hands throughout the course of the session, a couple in the beginning, some of the bomb pots, and some towards the end that we didn't talk about for lack of interest. We decided to cut our losses about 4.5 hours in after crawling up a little bit, booking a loss of $300, which comes out to about $66 per hour, or 13 big blinds per hour.
If you've made it this far and you're wondering where I am, I'm in the Bishop International Airport in Flint, Michigan, about to catch a flight back home to Florida. I didn't know that there's actually a cheap flight from Flint, Michigan to Las Vegas, so I may actually have to take them up on that offer and get a cheap flight out there.
As always, had an absolutely fantastic time playing at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. Thank you so much to them for letting me film in their room. If you're ever in the area, be sure to check them out. This is Runner Poker, about to catch a flight home to play more poker. As always, keep your body healthy, keep your mind healthy. This is Runner Poker. Have a good one.